Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Anetta Felix. President Muhammadu Buhari has outlined his vision for trade between African countries. Speaking while receiving a report of the African Continental Free Trade Area Committee, President Buhari said local production must be promoted if intra-African trade is to thrive. He explained that trade between African countries stands at a mere 14% and called for better collaboration for their mutual economic benefit. According to him, Africa needs not only a trade policy but also a continental manufacturing agenda. On their part, members of the AFCTA committee expressed commitment to supporting intra-African trade through production and border control.
Our position is very simple. We support free trade as long as it's fair and conducted on an equitable basis. The African Continental Free Trade Area will have both positive and negative effects on us as a nation and on our region. As Africa's largest economy and most populous country, we cannot afford to rush into such agreements without full and proper consultation with all stakeholders. As you mentioned in your report, intra-African trade is only 14% of Africa's total trade. Our consumption is mostly of goods imported from outside the continent. For African continental free trade to succeed, we must develop policies that promote African production, among other benefits. Africa, therefore, needs not only a trade policy, but also a continental manufacturing agenda.
We're looking at the possibility of support for retooling to ensure that our industries remain competitive. And there's also the aspect of our borders being properly manned to ensure that leakages to a large extent are reduced. But there's also the need for us to recognize that we produce efficiently to deal with the market, because there's a massive market in Africa.
As part of the study, one of the aspects of the study is a readiness assessment. And in that readiness assessment, we looked at where we are, the stock of infrastructure, like you said, but we also had a benchmark study, looked at other African countries. And clearly, some countries, a couple of countries are readier than we are, but a lot more of them are far behind us. So if you look at so if you look at from the stock of infrastructure and so forth, yes, we really can get in and make a success of it.
Opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) is urging President Muhammadu Buhari and his vice Yemi Osinbajo to publicly declare their assets. The request was also extended to Senate President Ahmed Lawan and Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila. In a statement signed by its Deputy National Publicity Secretary Diran Odeyemi, the PDP said that by declaring their assets, the top government officials will prove to Nigerians that they're transparent and incorrupt, stating that the Code of Conduct Bureau had refused to release details of assets of the president and the other top officials without their consent. The PDP urged all high-ranking political office holders to give the CCB permission to do so. The Code of Conduct Bureau has stated that President Buhari's assets remained unchanged after he submitted his declaration form. The body, however, refused to reveal the content of the document. The presidency has denied reports that the Muhammadu Buhari administration is practicing bigotry and alienating Christians. This is in reaction to claims by the Northern Christian Elders Forum that the Boko Haram terrorism served a government agenda against Christians. In a letter to the British parliamentary group, the Nigerian government described the reports as false, saying criminal groups such as the Boko Haram terrorists who kill Muslims and Christians have no respect for religion. The government also explains that President Buhari's deputy is a pastor, adding that his cabinet is balanced between Muslims and Christians. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated the board of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission (RMAFC) at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The president inaugurated 30 commissioners with Elias Mbam as the chairman. The RMAFC is the body responsible for preparing the formula for sharing revenues among the three tiers of government in Nigeria. They are also responsible for fixing the remuneration of political office holders, as well as monitoring the revenues accruing to the Federation accounts from revenue-generating agencies. At the inauguration ceremony, President Buhari called on the new board members to discharge their duties with dedication and transparency. The new chairman, Mbam, promised to task his team on seeking new ways to generate revenue for Nigeria.
As a commission, you are empowered by the Constitution to, among other things, to do the following duties: monitor the accruals to and disbursement of revenue from the Federation account. B, review from time to time the revenue allocation formulae and principles in operation and advise government on the need for any changes. C, advise the federal, state and local governments on fiscal efficiency and methods by which their revenue is to be increased. It is therefore the expectation of government that you will rapidly and systematically set to work to address all areas of your mandates in a business-like manner. Here, I will charge the chairman and honorable commissioners to A, concentrate more on expanding the sources of revenue to the Federation account and other non-oil sources, including solid minerals. B, use all legal ways and means to strengthen its monitoring mechanism and block leakages of revenue from the Federation account. All relevant laws and regulations on revenue collections and remittances should be fully complied with, and appropriate sanctions visited on defaulters.
We concentrate more effort on how to increase the size of the cake for allocation to the three tiers of government, instead of struggling to share a shrinking cake. So the Commission will key into the diversification program of the federal government with a view to finding other sources of revenue that will increase the sources to the Federation account.
Chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, President Muhammadu Buhari, has on behalf of the regional bloc condemned the coup attempt in Ethiopia. Buhari, in a statement, expressed sympathy and condolences to the families of the victims of the coup attempt, as well as the people and government of Ethiopia. He assured that the Commission was committed to the ideals of the African Union and democracy, elections and good governance, adding that the ECOWAS stands in full solidarity with the people and government of Ethiopia. There was a coup attempt in the Amhara region on Saturday, June 22nd, 2019, which led to the killing of the country's army chief and 4 other soldiers. Permanent Secretary to the Federal Ministry of Health, Abdulaziz Abdullahi, says the federal government will issue electronic cards as proof of vaccination against yellow fever from July 1st, 2019. Abdullahi says the new card has enhanced security features that could be verified anywhere in the world by scanning the barcode or checking the card number on the Yellow Card portal. The introduction of the new e-yellow card, otherwise known as International Certificate of Vaccination, is to address the issue of fake yellow cards. The PAMSEC is now calling on Nigerians to cooperate with the Ministry of Health and obtain the new e-card and help prevent the spread of the virus. Former Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, will appear before a federal high court in Abuja to explain his role in a 2.5 billion naira fraud in the federal government's digital switchover program. The minister was invited to testify by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. The commission says Mohammed's involvement had come under question in following a discovery that a government white paper that governs the execution of the digital switchover program was flouted by the head of the NBC. Mohammed had, however, admitted in a statement to the commission that he was misled by Modibo Kawu, Director General of NBC, into approving government funds to a private company. The ICPC is also prosecuting Kawu over alleged abuse of office and money laundering. A non-governmental organization, Civil Society Legislative and Advocacy Center, CISLAC, has attributed the failure in Nigeria's electoral process largely to the unprofessionalism of security agencies. The executive director of the center, Awal Rafsanjani, made this claim in Abuja at the launch of a research titled Involvement of Nigerian Security Services in the Electoral Process, Guardian or Threat to Democracy. He described the role of security agencies in Nigeria's election as a source of concern rather than a security guarantee. INEC's National Commissioner Festus Okoye said security agencies have conducted themselves in a manner that have earned them a negative perception in the eyes of Nigerians. They urged them to match their actions with their purpose to promote a democratic Nigerian society.
You will agree with me that our volatile democracy, accompanied by increasing temptation and pressure to coerce security agents and desperation to hold on to power by various previous administrations at all layers of governance in our democratic life, has exhibited very degree of insecurity which continue to frustrate efforts at achieving peaceful and secured electoral process.
The Commission and the various services will firm up and revise the protocols and rules of engagement for all security agencies involved or engaged in election security. The protocols and the rules of engagement will clearly and unequivocally delineate the areas of involvement of the agencies in election security. It will also set out in concrete terms the mechanisms and mechanics of requesting for the services and involvement of the security agencies in the provision of election security. On its part, the Commission will propose constitutional and statutory reforms that will strengthen the regime of the electoral process. The Nigerian people deserve to have good elections, and the Commission will continue to work to realize the true intent of the electoral process. We urge all the stakeholders in the electoral process to imbibe the democratic spirit of shared roles and responsibilities in the delivery of credible elections in Nigeria.
Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, has organized an international conference in Abuja to address sexual and gender-based violence. Director of the center, Idayat Hassan, say they aim to drive stronger political commitment to prevent rape and protect women and children at risk of abuse. Also speaking at the event, Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment, Mariam Owais, says the government is already investing in the issue and will do more to protect the welfare of women and children. 2018 Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege also condemned the violence against women and children in conflict situations and called on the Nigerian government to better protect their rights as citizens.
The issue of sexual and gender-based violence seem not to have attracted so much prominence, really. Maybe because we feel like they are quite important, but at this point in time, we have to talk in terms of restoring peace. But where is enduring peace if we do not address issues that are very, very germane towards fostering a lasting peace? We expect that immediately after this conversation, we are seeing inclusion, really, of not just these survivors who may not actually wish to be addressed as survivors, nor victims.
The realities of women, also would inform the views as to what solutions to proffer. Women are also known to be empathetic and loyal, and because of their innate ability and tendency to care, they are more likely to depoliticize conflict and peacemaking. The opportunity should therefore not be lost by excluding women's participation at conflict resolution and peace talks. The society is undoubtedly better empowered by diversity and inclusion. Furthermore, since insecurity and fear of armed conflict keep women away from making their contributions to such efforts, leaders must take definite steps to assure their participation.
Let me first say that sexual violence in conflict is only an exacerbation of sexual violence in time of peace. They have the same causes: deeply rooted gender inequality and discrimination in a patriarchal system. That is why we need to address and therefore work fast on promoting the human rights of women and gender equality.
Governing Council of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, says it has suspended the implementation of new tariffs placed on pharmaceutical products. According to NAFDAC, the move is to douse tension and assuage the earnings of stakeholders in the pharmaceutical, food and allied industries. Spokesperson for the agency, Abubakar Jimo, says the decision was reached after a marathon stakeholders forum and meeting of the Governing Council. He says the suspension of the new tariff was born out of NAFDAC's commitment to promote the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. The new tariffs came into effect on June 1st, 2019. Let's take a break here and we'll be right back.
So, now, straight to business. Now, that case between State versus Femi Wale.
Femi Wale?
Yes.
Is he your son?
That's my hair, apparent.
Did he actually kill the wife?
His juvenile delinquency, they must have taken some few bottles.
A man of 40. Juvenile delinquent?
Now, what do we do? I don't want him to go to jail.
We are very good friends. But for this, I cannot help you.
You know I was so nice to you in school. I took care of you.
I'll politely leave.
No, you can't leave. How much do you want me to pay?
Wale, this is not about money. It's about the law. Bribing a judge to subvert the cause of justice is corruption. Not in my country. Corruption not in my country.
Whilst the crash notes recently pressed to the right from possessing the problem of
that the election has been postponed and Nigerians have been reacting to that.
Local area of Lagos as early as 7 a.m. Some minutes past the incident has been managed. Headquarters this morning to display
Welcome back. Let's now cross over to Fidelia Aguncha for the latest in business.
Thank you, Annetta. The federal government has ordered that Eko, Enugu and Ikeja distribution companies be disconnected from the national grid over non-compliance with the condition of market rules. In a notice issued by the market operator, which is an arm of the TCN, a directive was given for the suspension of the distribution companies for failing to renew their security cover. Security cover is a deposit established to serve as a form of guarantee or payment for all amounts due from the discos to the market operator for energy received. The discos were reportedly given an opportunity to address the situation, but they were said to have refused to respond within the stipulated time. Discos allegedly owed the Transmission Company of Nigeria 231 billion naira energy service debts. Well, former Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, is urging Nigerian youths to be prepared for the responsibilities of leadership. The former governor of Lagos State made the call at the 2019 annual lecture tagged Lecture for Gab Fest, specifically organized to foster youth engagement and participation in pertinent issues that concerns the nation. The event, which coincides with the former minister's birthday, was held in Lagos, southwest Nigeria.
The lessons are out there in the public space. They are easier to see and harder to do. And preparing requires you to give up so many things. Being conscious that every day that you are a leader, you are responsible for people. Millions of them. How do they sleep? How do they eat? Are they secure? What are the risks to them? Those become your waking and sleeping obligations. Everybody else before you. So how many people are ready to do that? So they are easier said than it is to do them, but they can be done. They have been done in this land before. They are being done today, and they will be done tomorrow. But those who want to lead must understand that these are some of the things that it will require to become leaders, because really the leaders of the people are their servants.
I think it's very important that our youth get involved in business in Nigeria. Be it starting up your own business, be it 9 to 5, you have to have our youth engaged in business. That would also reduce the nuisance that could possibly spring out of not having youths that are not engaged.
Well, up next is a review of the stock market after this. Trading in the shares of Guarantee Trust Bank, Eco Transnational, Zenith Bank and First Bank of Nigeria Holding gave the NSE a boost, influencing market turnover. Now, these four equities sold over 124 million shares worth more than 3.6 billion naira at the close of trading. Now, that makes up more than 60% the entire value and volume of shares traded on the floor of the market today. Well, with this momentum, it is not surprising at all that the all-share index is appreciating by over 200 basis points, while the key market indices surged by 0.73%. The market capitalization also appreciated by about 96 billion naira to stand at 13.205 trillion naira. Well, but despite these, the market still remains volatile. Thursday's biggest loser is today's leading gainer. I'm talking about Nigeria Breweries right here, whose share price surged by 9.5%. Now, aside being the top traded equity for the day, Guarantee Trust Bank is the second biggest gainer, appreciating by 2.1 naira. Coming in third and fourth on the chart is Julius Berger and Unilever PLC, both gaining by a combined 1 naira 95 kobo. Conversely, Nestle is back to being the biggest loser on the market. This time it is dropping by about 10 naira. Dangote Cement, Forte Oil right here, and Access Bank also had a bad day. And outside Nigeria, that's on the global market, we can see that the Financial Times Stock Exchange made a rebound, surging by 0.31% as top world leaders meet at the G20 summit. The Dow Jones is also rising, just like the FTSE, and the Nikkei is, however, closing the week in the negative territory, dropping by 0.29%. Well, that's it from the world of business. It's back to Aneta.
Thanks for that update, Dalia. We'll go on a quick break and we'll be right back. Cheers, baby.
So, now, straight to business. Now, that case between State versus Femi Wale.
Femi Wale?
Yes.
Is he your son?
That's my heir apparent.
Did he actually kill the wife?
His juvenile delinquency, they must have taken some few bottles.
A man of 40. Juvenile delinquent?
Now, what do we do? I don't want him to go to jail.
We are very good friends. But for this, I cannot help you.
You know I was so nice to you in school. I took care of you.
I'll politely leave.
No, you can't leave. How much do you want me to pay?
Wale, this is not about money. It's about the law. Bribing a judge to subvert the cause of justice is corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
The death toll from a mine collapse in southeast Congo has risen to 43, authorities said on Friday. On Thursday, authorities had recovered 36 bodies after the accident at the Kampoto Copper Company mine. According to the governor, the miners were there illegally. Congo is rich in minerals like copper and cobalt, and accidents in mines are not uncommon. Figures indicating the scale of the problem are still sketchy, given that many mines are illegal and remote. 2 people have died from heat stroke in Spain following massive heat wave in the region. The dead include a 17-year-old farm worker and a 93-year-old man who collapsed and died on the street in the northern city of Valladolid. Heat-related deaths have also been reported in Italy, France, and Germany, mainly among the elderly. France was bracing for what could be the hottest day in its history on Friday, an extraordinary event for June. Temperatures are forecast to reach 45 degrees Celsius in the south, beating the current record of 44.1 degrees Celsius, dating to the catastrophic heat wave of August 2003. And Italian football club AC Milan has been banned from European football for breaching financial fair play rules. The ban, which takes effect from next season, was announced by Court of Arbitration for Sports (CAS). European football's governing body, UEFA, had dragged the club to court over allegations of violating FFP regulations in the past 3 seasons. In its judgment, the Court of Arbitration for Sports ruled that AC Milan will be excluded from participating in UEFA club competitions of the sporting season 2019 to 2020. And that's it from here on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Annetta Felix. Thanks for watching.